For I delivered to you as of first importance what I also received, that Christ died for our sins according to the Scriptures. For Christ also died for sins once for all, the just for the unjust, so that he might bring us to God, having been put to death in the flesh, but made alive in the Spirit, who died for us, so that whether we are awake or asleep, we will live together with him. Greater love has no one than this, that one lay down his life for his friends. But God demonstrates his own love toward us, in that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. For if while we were enemies we were reconciled to God through the death of his Son, much more, having been reconciled, we shall be saved by his life. For while we were still helpless, at the right time Christ died for the ungodly.
For the love of Christ controls us, having concluded this, that one died for all, therefore all died, and he died for all, so that they who live might no longer live for themselves, but for him who died and rose again on their behalf. But we do see him who was made for a little while lower than the angels, namely, Jesus, because of the suffering of death crowned with glory and honor, so that by the grace of God he might taste death for everyone. I am the good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. Even as the Father knows me and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. Nor do you take into account that it is expedient for you that one man die for the people, and that the whole nation not perish. Now Caiaphas was the one who had advised the Jews that it was expedient for one man to die on behalf of the people. Now he did not say this on his own initiative, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus was going to die for the nation. He who was delivered over because of our transgressions, and was raised because of our justification. For the death that he died to sin once for all, but the life that he lives to God. For this reason he is the mediator of a new covenant, so that, since a death has taken place for the redemption of the transgressions that were committed under the first covenant, those who have been called may receive the promise of the eternal inheritance. Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many. Knowing that you were not redeemed with perishable things like silver or gold from your futile way of life inherited from your forefathers, but with precious blood, as of a lamb unblemished and spotless, the blood of Christ. We know love by this, that he laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for the brethren. For to this end Christ died and lived again, that he might be Lord both of the dead and of the living. For as often as you eat this bread and drink the cup, you proclaim the Lord's death until he comes. Yet he has now reconciled you in his fleshly body through death, in order to present you before him holy and blameless and beyond reproach. Truly, truly, I say to you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone, but if it dies, it bears much fruit. And I, if I am lifted up from the earth, will draw all men to myself. For if because of food your brother is hurt, you are no longer walking according to love. Do not destroy with your food him for whom Christ died. For through your knowledge he who is weak is ruined, the brother for whose sake Christ died. Therefore, since the children share in flesh and blood, he himself likewise also partook of the same, that through death he might render powerless him who had the power of death, that is, the devil. For Christ did not send me to baptize, but to preach the gospel, not in cleverness of speech, so that the cross of Christ would not be made void.